How differently would you live your life if you had this power with women? I'll tell you what the power is, and then I'll show you how to do it. It's the power to instantly create a sexual spark with any woman you meet. You essentially have the power to attract women at will. You're not relying on hopefully getting lucky. You have the power to instantly create a sexual spark. Imagine that you had that power, right? What happens is that rather than looking at women and seeing them as unattainable or out of reach or too hard to get, what happens is that you feel excited because you know that if you go up and interact with her, you are going to be able to make her feel a spark of sexual attraction for you. It doesn't mean that you're going to be able to pick up every woman that you talk to, because some women aren't going to be single and some women just aren't going to be a good match for you. You're not going to like who they are. But in every case, when you walk up and talk to a woman, you have the ability to create a spark of attraction inside of her. She actually feels attracted to the attractive signals that you are displaying when you're interacting with her. So I'll give you some examples now so you can see what I mean by unattractive signals versus attractive signals, and then I'll explain further. Right? So imagine that a guy went to a party, and when he got there, he was introduced to a girl named Jenny. And Jenny is an attractive girl. He liked her as soon as he saw her. Now, in the first example, I'm going to show that the guy is not necessarily being unattractive, but he's just being neutral, right? In the last example, I'll show unattractive signals, but in this initial example, he's just being neutral, right? And you'll see that he's not creating a sexual spark inside of her. So the conversation starts and he says, "Oh, hi, how are you?" And she says, "Good, thanks." And he says, "Oh, I'm Dan, what's your name?" And she says, "Jenny." "So what do you do?" She says she works in IT. "Oh, cool. So how long have you been doing that?" And she says, "About 5 years." "All right, that's cool. So like you're a programmer or something?" She says, "Yeah." And he then says, "All right, yeah, cool. So did you have to go to university for that?" And she says, "Yeah." Right? So he's just having a neutral conversation with her, right? He has an opportunity with a woman that he finds attractive named Jenny. She's telling him what she does for a living, and he has an opportunity right there and then to create a spark between him and her, but he doesn't do it because he either doesn't know how to do it, or he's afraid that if he tries to do it, it won't work and he'll get rejected and everyone will look at him and they'll think he's a loser or whatever, and so on, right? So he just plays it safe. He just talks to her in a neutral way because he knows that he can get along with people, right? He can just have a chat, talk, and so forth, and he hopes that Jenny's going to like him for some reason. She's going to like how he looks. She's going to like his shirt or whatever it may be, or what he does for a living. But it turns out that she's not feeling a sexual spark with him. He's just another guy who doesn't make her feel anything. Like, he's just getting along with her, and she might see him as a good guy and think, yeah, he's a good guy and so forth, but there's nothing there. Right? There's nothing there between them. So now here's an example of creating a sexual spark. Right? This is something that I'm an expert at. This is something that I mastered. I went out there and interacted with a lot of women and hooked up with loads of women and enjoyed that before settling down. And guys who watch my channel will know that. Guys who are new here, now you know, right? I've done it hundreds of times, and it's very easy to do. Once you understand how it works, you can do it. However, before I show you the examples, I want to point out that us men feel attracted to women for different reasons than women feel attracted to us men. So when you watch the following examples, you might be thinking, well, I wouldn't like it if a woman said that to me. I wouldn't feel attracted if she was behaving like that. I like women who are nice and friendly. I like women who are just pretty and nice and friendly to me. I wouldn't want a woman to be playfully challenging me, playfully messing with me, playfully teasing me, and so on. I just want a woman to be nice and friendly and warm and to be pretty, and that's it. Yet, it's important to understand that women want to feel something else when they're interacting with us. They don't just want to feel nice, little sweet emotions where the guy's just being nice and friendly. Women want to be able to feel our confidence, our masculinity, our rawness, our daring. But at the same time, they also want us to be charming, to be good guys. So what I'm about to show you are examples of being a good guy, but also having some balls, having a bit of daring, putting the woman on the spot and making her feel challenged in a playful way. That attracts women for so many reasons, and I'll explain some of those reasons as I go through the examples. But I just want to point out that if you don't ever understand this and you continue to think that you just have to be nice to women and you have to be friendly and just get along with them in a nice way, then you'll be frustrated that they don't feel turned on by you, even though you're being really good to them, even though you're doing lots of good things for them. You've got to understand that creating a sexual spark is different to just being the regular good guy that you are. You've got to be able to display some traits that make a woman feel sexual sparks. Right, so the conversation starts off in the same way. It's totally fine to say, hi, how are you? And you can even ask a woman what she does for a living. Right, it's not the best start to a conversation, but you can work with it. If you ask that sort of question, you can still create a spark. Right, so in this case, I've said, hi, how are you? Got her name, and she says that she works in IT. Then I create a sexual spark by displaying attractive signals. Well, that makes sense. And she asks why, right? She said that she works in IT, and I've said, well, that makes sense. And she's asking why, right? Because suddenly it's like, what? Why does it make sense? Why does she seem like a girl who works in IT? Well, when I first saw you, I was like, well, this girl looks like a nerd. Now it makes sense. You're a nerdy IT girl. It suits you. Even if she doesn't look like a nerd, right? I'm just messing with her, right? And the attractive signals that I'm displaying there is that I have the confidence to do that when I'm interacting with her, the social intelligence to be able to make a joke in a situation like that and come up with something like that. She senses that I'm not afraid of her, but at the same time, I'm still being a good guy. I'm not being rude about it. I'm not saying something like, yeah, well, that makes sense. Yeah, when I first saw her, I thought this girl looks like a nerd. Instead, I'm being more charming about it. I'm being more charismatic. I'm adding in a smile. I'm being a bit cheeky about it. And the woman can see that. Women sense these things. They know it. They understand what's going on. And they see it as flirting. They don't take offense from it and say, what? You're saying I look like a nerd? Yeah? And tip a drink in your face, slap you, and then everyone points at you in the bar or the club or the party or whatever. It just doesn't work like that. Women understand. And for guys watching this who haven't flirted with women before, you've most likely seen other guys do it, where they start flirting with a woman and they say things that you think, well, if I said that to a woman, I'd get slapped or I'd get rejected. But he's able to do it. What's going on there? It's because the woman can sense that he's flirting, right? He's only joking with her. So in this case, you can then follow up with something like, no, I'm just kidding. You don't seem that nerdy. You seem kind of cool. All right, so you're continuing on with the joke there. You're giving her a bit of a compliment and you're putting yourself in that position where you're sort of in the one-up position. You're the cooler one there, but you're not being arrogant about it. You're still being playful about it. You're not saying something like, no, I'm just kidding. You don't seem that nerdy. I mean, you're kind of cool, right? You're being playful about it by saying, no, I'm just kidding. You don't seem that nerdy. You seem kind of cool. The woman then feels playfully challenged in the moment. She sees that there's a flirtatious vibe back and forth between you and her. If you and her were to go home together that night or were to go on a date or get into a relationship, you're not just going to be a boring, flat, neutral guy that just says, oh, so how long you been working in IT? Yeah, right. And did you have to go to uni to study that? Yeah, right. How many years did you study at uni? Yeah, okay. Now that said, a guy doesn't have to playfully challenge a woman all the time. It's just something that you can add in that instantly creates a spark between you and a woman, right? She feels that energy of, oh, right, this guy isn't afraid of me. Right? This guy has the confidence, the balls to play with me, to mess with me, to put me on the spot, right? To make me feel a little bit uncomfortable in a playful way, right? And that then translates in her mind as, okay, in the bedroom, he might be a little bit more confident than other guys. He might, move me around the bed with a bit more confidence and assertiveness. He might do things that other guys are too afraid to do in the bedroom. Additionally, she can instinctively start to feel that, okay, this guy wouldn't be afraid if I introduced him to my friends or family. He wouldn't be some shy, awkward guy that can't get along with anyone. He can get along with people and create that energy right away. He doesn't have a problem creating a bit of a funny moment, right? He's not afraid of that. Now, that said, creating a funny moment between you and a woman isn't the only way to attract her. Right? You can also attract women by being masculine, by being charming, by being charismatic, and so on. Yet using playfully challenging humor like that is one of the easiest ways to create a spark. It's the best for beginners, right? When you're very confident and sure of yourself, you can interact with a woman and use very subtle body language that is coming from your deep confidence, your deep masculinity, and she can sense it and she feels attracted and turned on by that. But for beginners and for guys who aren't good at picking up women, using playfully challenging humor in moments like that is one of the easiest ways to create a spark. So here's another example. She says that she works in IT, and then I say something like this. So, on our first date, let's make it at my place because my computer needs fixing at the moment. And you just look at her with a bit of a cheeky smile. She sees that you're just being playful there. You have the confidence to say something like that, to suggest that you and her are going to go on a first date, and to tell her to actually do something for you, to do you a favor. Women don't go around admitting this, but they like guys who have the confidence, the balls to occasionally tell them to do something, right? Because that then translates into the bedroom, right? Telling her to get on her knees, for example, and it can translate into everyday life where the guy has the confidence to tell other people what to do. So he may be a manager, he may be a leader, and so forth. And managers and leaders tend to do better in life financially. Of course, if he's not a manager, if he doesn't work at that level, she sees the potential in him, right? She sees the potential that he may do better in life than a guy who's very shy and unassuming and is afraid to ask for what he wants, or is afraid to ask a woman to do something for him. And another example of displaying some attractive signals to create a spark in response to her saying that she works in IT is, right, so you're pretty, you're smart, but do you have the third most important thing of all? And then she asks what that is. The ability to cook a good meal. I mean, are you a good cook? That is the question. Right, so suddenly she sees that you're confident enough to say that she is pretty, but you're not sucking up to her about it. Oh, you're so beautiful, sort of thing. You're just saying it as a matter of fact. You're not intimidated by her. You're giving her another compliment by saying that she's smart, but then you're sort of pulling the rug out from underneath her in a playful way by asking if she can cook. You work in IT. Oh, it takes brains to work in IT. Right, so let's see. You're pretty, you're smart, but there's a third thing, which is the most important question of all. She then asks what the question is. Can you cook? That is the most important thing to us men of all. Right, so if she's beautiful, she then sees that, yes, you see her as beautiful, but you're not instantly impressed just because she's beautiful. She has to impress you, but you're only doing it in a playful way. You're not being serious about it and saying, well, you know, you're pretty, you're smart, but can you cook? Right? I mean, I like a woman who can cook. It's none of that sort of stuff. It's just you being playful, charming, charismatic, creating a funny moment between you and her, and she then feels sparks for you. She feels a spark because you're being confident, another spark because you're being socially intelligent. You're able to say something like that, come up with something like that. You have the balls to do it, the masculinity to do it, to put her on the spot like that, to calmly talk through what you're saying, right? You're not saying, oh, okay, well, you're pretty, you're smart, but can you cook? And being nervous about it, right? You're saying, okay, so you're pretty, you're smart, but there's one thing that's more important than all of that to us men. She then asks what that is. Can you cook? Are you a good cook? That is what matters most to us men. You then instantly create a spark with her where there's flirting going back and forth. And flirting is where you playfully show interest in the other person, right? You're showing that you're interested in her. She's pretty, she's smart. You're going to go out on a date with her and so forth. But you're only doing it in a playful way. Flirting isn't, oh, well, you're pretty and smart and can you cook? I like you. Flirting is a subtle, indirect, discreet language that women understand, but unfortunately a lot of guys don't understand. And it's the way to communicate your interest in a woman without actually saying, hey, I like you, I think you're pretty, you want to go on a date, and do you like me too, and so forth. It's a subtle conversation going back and forth where you're showing interest in each other, where she says, yeah, I can cook, and yeah, my best dish is blah, blah, blah. Oh, cool, maybe you can cook me that on our second date. And you're flirting about the idea of going on a date, having a second date, her cooking something for you. It's not a serious thing, but it instantly creates this private world between you and her, a connection. You're not just talking to her like a neutral guy where you're just getting along and you want to be friends with her. You're instantly creating something between you and her. So now here's an example of displaying unattractive signals. The girl said she works in IT, and the guy then says, oh, so yeah, what's it like working with so many guys? You're pretty, so I suppose a lot of guys are hitting on you at the office. Immediately she knows that, okay, this guy's insecure, and if she were to get into a relationship with him, he would most likely become a nightmare for her in terms of being insecure and jealous and overprotective when she went to work and worrying about some male co-worker talking to her and so on. He's clearly sending unattractive signals there, and it's very obvious, but what a lot of guys don't know is that the unattractive signals they are displaying are often very subtle. Right? That was an obvious example, but there are very subtle ones as well. And When a guy doesn't understand how to make women feel attracted, he interacts with women that he finds attractive, they don't find him attractive, and then he starts to look at women as being unattainable. Women like that, they don't like me. I've tried talking to women like that, they don't like me. Maybe I need to accept that type of woman. That's the only one that seems to like me, right? But he doesn't want that. He wants a girl like that, or a girl like that. She's attractive, I like her, I want to be with a woman like that. Yet when he interacts with her, he doesn't create sparks of attraction. So when you have the power to create sparks of attraction inside of a woman, you suddenly stop feeling nervous and unsure of yourself and anxious about walking over and talking to a woman, because you know that if you walk over and start an interaction with her, you're going to be able to make her feel sparks of attraction. It doesn't mean that you're going to be able to pick up every woman that you talk to, because sometimes a woman is a bit harder to get than others. And if you don't have the knowledge of how to handle that and stay in the interaction and move things forward, you might just give up and walk away. Or she might not be the type of woman that you like personality-wise, or her intelligence level might not be where you want it to be, and then you lose interest and walk away. But in other cases, where the woman is good for you, right? You like her, you're attracted to her, and you get along with her, and the vibe is good, you're able to get a result. So rather than feeling anxious and nervous and afraid and unsure, when you see a woman that you find attractive, you actually feel excited, because you know that if she's single and you like her, something's going to happen there. You're going to kiss her, you're going to have sex with her, you're going to get her number, you're going to set up a date, you're going to start a relationship, you're going to have fun times. And you're selecting her, you're in control. You're not waiting and hoping and wishing and just maybe one day a girl that I like will like me. You see an opportunity with a woman that you find attractive, whether you're going through your everyday life, or you're at work, or you're at a party, you're at a bar, a club, wherever it may be. You see an opportunity with a woman that you find attractive, you walk over, attract her, and move things forward, right? If she's single and she's a sort of woman that you like, you get the result. If she's not, you just talk to another woman and you get the result with her. So can you imagine how different your life would be if you had the power of being able to create a sexual spark inside of a woman as soon as you started interacting with her? How different would your dating life be? How differently would you approach your dating life, right? When guys first learn how to do this from me, most guys just want to be able to get a girlfriend, and that's fine. Get yourself a pretty girlfriend, settle down, no problem. But what happens is that a lot of guys who learn my secrets on attracting women use it, and they realize that most of the women they interact with like them now, right? So the guy had been going through life thinking that he would be lucky if he got himself a girl, to suddenly, right, lots of pretty girls like me. And what happens then is many guys decide to just play the field, or to enjoy their choice with women for a while, which is what I did as well, right? Having sex with lots of women, having multiple girlfriends at once, and then when I was ready, I settled down. Now, I've given you some examples of how to attract women in this video, and if you want to learn my best ever techniques for instantly creating a spark when you begin interacting with a woman and effortlessly making her feel more and more attracted to you, then I recommend that you read my ebook, The Flow, or listen to the audiobook version. Essentially, you create a spark of attraction when you first start interacting with a woman, and then you guide her through what I call the flow. When you do that, you effortlessly flow from one step to the next. So you flow from a start of a conversation all the way to sex and into the start of a relationship like it's the easiest thing in the world. It just flows naturally and easily. Something really cool about all of this, which is sad at the same time, is that most guys don't think that this is possible, right? Most guys think that if they're going to get a chance with a woman, she has to like them based on their physical appearance, or the guy has to be successful in life or something like that. He can't actually talk to her and make her feel attracted. That's not possible. That's what most guys think. Most guys think that women feel attracted to men in the same way that men feel attracted to women, in that we men can look at a woman and instantly feel attracted to her, instantly like her, and she doesn't have to do anything else to impress us, and we'd kiss her and have sex with her, no problem. And for some guys, they'd even have a relationship with her simply based on her looking the way that she does and just being a bit friendly. That's it. Done. So most guys think that it works the same way, right? They got to look as good as they can and then be friendly, and then the girl's going to like them. So if a guy thinks like that and interacts with a woman and she doesn't want to be with him sexually, he thinks, what? I'm not good looking enough. That's why. He doesn't actually know that he can create a spark of sexual attraction when he interacts with her. He can create multiple sparks, and it's easy. It's simple. So on one hand, it's sad, but on the other hand, it's cool for you. Because if you actually learn this stuff, you will see that most guys don't know it. And you're able to enjoy your choice with women because most guys don't know how to attract women. They just talk in a neutral way or they talk in ways that turn women off. But if you're a guy who can create sparks of sexual attraction inside of the women that you talk to, you enjoy your choice of women.